Well, we serve you our second big story. It has to do with the CPP and the internal wranglings that are going on. It's got all of us, interested and concerned. Well, fortunately, we have the chairperson here with us, Nana Frimpoma Sapo Kuma, chairperson of the CPP. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Wonderful to have the opportunity.
My very first question would simply be this. What is happening in the CPP? Today we hear this person has embezzled that amount of money. The next time we hear, your election was not even valid. And a pot of so many other issues. Some people have supposedly been expelled and Nana Yajantua camp, and all of that. What is happening in the CPP?
What you see in the CPP today, and like I said, thanks for the opportunity, and let me say hi to all the Nkrumah out there and all the die-hard CPP. I want to assure you that what is happening in the CPP today has always been going on since I can remember. And that is the reason why CPP got 0.001 in decimal points, you understand? 0.1%. It's stress. That is the reason.
You're referring to the last election, right?
Yes. So 12,000, that is not a party. We need to do things differently. This problem you are seeing today has become a part of CPP, where whenever an election is mentioned, then you have this kind of quarrels. There are so many entrenched people in the party, outside especially, just the same way that Osajifo was overthrown. The CIA influenced people within, and Osajifo himself said, enemies within, who work with outside agencies or people who have a reason to not let CPP get up. So what you see today, the good news for everyone listening to me is that it has started early. It has started early enough. And so, because we are still 2.5 years away from the real election. Usually, these things happen like 6 months, 8 months, and then we end up in court. And by the time we realize, we are like 3 months, and we never ever do anything. So you pick your candidate, whether it's a parliamentary candidate or the presidential candidate, is not able to send the message that really brings the freedom and the economic freedom to the people of this country. So they are never able to vote for us. But let me tell you something. The problems we are seeing today is because we don't want to do business as usual. What is the business as usual?
Okay, so before you even talk about business as usual, you allege that, just as during the time of Nkrumah and he spoke about enemies within, you have enemies within now. Who are these enemies?
No, they are not. They are faceless enemies.
Faceless enemies?
Yes.
But so you see the impact of what they are doing, but you don't know who they are?
For the purposes of this discussion here, I wouldn't want to mention names.
So you know them?
Oh, yes. But then I want us to work as a group. So we are going to work. Because sometimes people do and say things, they don't really understand what is happening. They think they're just fighting a cause. Because basically what we are fighting today, let me explain to the Ghanaians out there. The fight for us today is twofold. It's just two basic things. There was an election in 2020. We are in 2022. 5 months ago, that election was taken to court for 50+1. Meanwhile, before that election, there was a referendum. The referendum was done by the Council of Elders when they realized that they are going to set aside a lot of our constitution. There will be a lot of infractions in terms of the ability to do our elections in one location like we do all the time at the National Congress. When it's at the National Congress, the Constitution says that at that point, everything else is simple majority. But for the chair and leader, it becomes 50+1. But this time, they did the elections in 16 regions under the regional Congress, not National Delegate Congress. So that was an infraction. So they took a constitution.
But did your constitution spell it out clearly that in such an instance, anyone who got the majority of the votes, not necessarily crossing 50%, would be the ultimate winner?
The point is that the constitution did not even spell out that there should be a regional elections. done at a regional level. We've never done.
So that was not the norm?
No, at all.
Right.
The Constitution did not spell out that we should be elected together with the flag bearer at all. So that is why they do the referendum, to allow that thing to happen by the wisdom of the Council of Elders. For that, when you add 1 + 1, you get 2. So they, in their own wisdom, realized that for that reason, they cannot use 50 + 1 for the decision, because that means that elections in the 16 regions would come to a central location long after the members have gone home. So they used the same simple majority. They made their decision.
So when you say they, are you referring to who are the they? The National Executive Council?
No, the Council of Elders.
The Council of Elders,
yes,
I mean.
They took the case from court 3 months before the election.
Right.
Therefore, decided to do the regional elections based on the situation of the COVID at that time. You understand? Which is not in our constitution.
So it was based on prevalent conditions. Was this generally accepted by the leadership of the party?
No. You don't need there was no leadership of the party. We were not leadership.
No. I'm only asking that. I get the point you're making. There was no extant leadership. But whether prior leadership or apart from the Council of Elders, who else would have had to buy into this? Because now else we wouldn't be facing these problems.
No. The only group of people who have that power within as an organ in our constitution is the Council of Elders. They are the only group that comes to arbitration and then makes a decision in the supreme interest of the party. That is final. It's clearly stated in our.
And the Council of Elders has come out with a statement to back, let
me wrap up here. In the 16 regions that they did, they decided to use simple majority.
Okay.
I got 10 regions. I won in 10 regions out of
the 16, right.
I got 240 more than the next person. It was a simple, clear winning majority. So within their wisdom, use that, because by the time they count, and I was fully elected, and with the EC mentioned my name, elected, it was done under Electoral Commission, not that some corner somewhere. You understand? So you can't just get up today without trying to use the same constitution, come and talk about 50 + 1. Did not talk about the fact that we did a thing in the regional, the fact that we did the executives and the flags together, and therefore the whole entire election then is flawed, including us and everybody else.
But these people point to the fact that, yes, generally in the past, you have always looked at a 50%, situation, above 50% situation. And now the Council of Elders, you admit that this is a novelty that was admitted by the Council of Elders.
Absolutely.
Maybe the Council of Elders, in accepting to go this way, put your party where you find yourselves now? Because there are core members who are disputing your there
are no core
chairmanship
members
of the CPP.
No, sir, there are no core members. That's what I'm telling. This is 1.5 years we are sitting here. We don't run our own country. No matter what constitution, this is still under the national constitution. Right. And it was organized by the Electoral Commission. So if you have any issues with that problem, you go, you address it within a certain time frame.
The EC will base it on what your party accepts as a party, what you subscribe to, what you deem to be a winning candidate. What the EC would have to go by what you have given them, right?
That's exactly the point, which UC went with the fact that at the time of the election, there was a referendum. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It was not at the basic time. We were in COVID time, and there was a referendum. And the referendum and the decision taken is taken by the Council of Elders. It's just like the way that Christ told the people. The law was not made to enslave people. It is the people who make the law. And therefore, at any point, they can do it so that it is in the interest of the people. We have made that provision clear in our constitution that at any point that there's a problem, the Council of Elders enter in, they arbitrate, and they make a decision in the interest of the party. So at that time, when they decided to do regional, they could not have done 50 + 1 because the 50 + 1 is done when we are in the Congress at one location. I clearly would have beaten the person. I got 10 regions.
Right.
So they made that decision.
Right.
We've been here 1.5 years later, a year and 2 months. Now we go to court. somebody gets up and says, listen, I'm fighting the 50+1. Then the Council of Elders calls them, the person. Then the person says, you know, that is not really my problem. But my real problem is the fact that the organization structures that the party has always is flaunted. So we know that is why we always get into problems and fighting during elections.
So it is obvious
so
that...
then the person pulled the case out of court.
Right.
And that became a consent judgment, which says that, okay, no, we are not going to worry about 50+, because clearly that is not the major thing as in the interest of the party now. What is in the interest of the party is for us to go back and organize at the grassroots. Make sure you do your polling stations, which we've never done in this Fourth Republic, which is the reason why nobody at the polling station owns CPP. CPP is only owned at the leadership level.
So, I mean, that is very clear, but very quickly, so there are others, like I've mentioned, who have taken you on. Let's look at Nanaya Dantua. Recently, she was supposedly expelled from...
It's not supposedly. She's been...
I'm using my words carefully because these are still disputed from her end as well.
No.
So she's been expelled?
Not expelled, never. She's not expelled. How can we expel Nigeria?
Right.
She's been interdicted.
Okay.
Only waiting for her to go for disciplinary, to look at the reasons for some actions she took.
How do you react to her interdiction?
It was taken by the CC in our party. The constitution that was done. Osadefo used to be the chair and leader of this party.
I get your point, but I guess fundamentally what I'm asking is, are you in support of her interdiction?
That's why I'm trying to make a point here. The interdiction was done at a CC where I chair. You understand? And it was unanimous. And the reason was given, not that she has done anything like personally wrong. No. The Council of Elders who took this case to court, case out of court, brought the case and said, listen, based on what we have seen here, we are tired of court cases. So go ahead and adhere to your constitution within the instructions of the organization, because our father said organization decides it all. So go ahead and let the people at the polling station, electoral area own the party, so that we'll be able to make a significant impact with our message. And so they realized that if we did not do that, our constitution says that if we are in opposition, at any point in time, we must finish all our elections before the 2 years before the final, the national elections. So when they did that, Yadantua and some members of my leadership, because it will affect their 4-year term, it affects also me, my 4-year term. And I did not agree, like she is not in agreement now. I said, no. We won't agree. But then when they called me back, the Council of Elders plus the legal team, and explained the implication and the significance of us at least sacrificing for the party, because we are not the party. We are only the leaders. But it doesn't mean that we should not do what is right. So at least for our term, we should do that. So we agreed. And we signed. They called me and called Naya Dantua. I said, okay, if that's what you are saying, I don't own the party. You are the custodians, you are the Council of Elders, you are the legal team. Whatever you bring, I'll sign. So they brought the thing and said, so that you can move on as a party, go ahead and do the elections this year. So as we are talking, we are doing our polling station in June, and constituencies in July, regional in August, and then the national executives.
Okay, so
in October.
You clearly have a roadmap.
We have a roadmap.
But let me,
by October, we'll
let me quickly find out from you. So Nanaya Dantua seems to have a bit of a caucus. It appears she has her own group that is sort of, from all that we've heard from your party, sort of against you and maybe the workings of the party, the Council of Elders currently. How are you resolving that with all these problems you're facing?
It's for me, the Council of Elders puts me where I am.
Right.
EC puts me where I am. The case is in court. They've taken it back to court. They should let the court do its work. But you cannot decide that you take a case to court, and for that reason, you come the following day, organize a meeting, flaunt the same constitution.
You're referring to the UDS meeting?
Yes. The constitution is clear. It says that the chair and leader chairs the CC. You can't change it unless in my absence. But when I'm there and you do a secret meeting And at that secret meeting, even when people come to the meeting and say, listen, the chair and leader is in town, and I was at the office, and you do a secret meeting, and then you say you've set me aside. Because you set me aside, didn't call me for the meeting. Then why did you take
Why were you set aside?
Because of 50+1. Why did you take me to court? Why is the case in court?
Right.
The case is in court. The reason why Yajanto has been interdicted, as I said, is because she went ahead and took the case that has been settled in court already and taken as a court settlement. She said no to the Council of Elders. And they took it back to court. So it's there. So why now come back and start another committee which
is sort of parallel to,
to overturn the actual committee that was chaired by the Central Committee, which was chaired and done according to the Constitution.
So to conclude the conversation, let me just find out from you. How is the CPP? I'm sure some people look up to you and want you to, get the strength needed to maybe counter the parties that we often see in power, the NDC and the MPP. Looking at what is happening to you now, I don't see how that could be possible.
Oh, absolutely.
What is next? Apart from the roadmap with the elections that are coming up, how is the CPP going to get itself ready for 2020?
Oh, yes. CPP, that's what I'm saying, that the good news to everybody listening to me, that this is the best time for CPP. And I want to assure the youth of this country and all the Nkrumahs out there that we are not going to do business as usual anymore, where the CPP will be owned by some leadership only. And then by the time there's an election, we are always ending up in court and we don't get to the grassroots. This time, the CPP will be owned by the grassroots, by the polling station executives, by the electoral area executives, and properly constituted delegates. And CPP is going to work. And let me tell you something. Any change comes with issues. The good news is that it has come early enough. You will see, we will come together. By the time we come together, there will be a lot of time, 2 more years after the election, for us to build this party and take our message of welfare-based message to the people, the message that brings accommodation, gives employment, brings wealth to the nation. We'll be able to discuss properly how we stop borrowing and rather create wealth within the country.
All right.
The policy and the roadmap is with the CPP.
Okay.
We brought independence and it will work out.
Just before you go, and this
fighting is not only with CPP.
Right.
Have you seen the cutlasses and arms that has been cut with people's leg lying in the constituencies in the MPP and NDC, MPP elections?
Right.
But they are in power. So I don't want people to trivialize it and make it look like because CPP has an issue. I say, no. We have an issue. We would overcome it. We have Council of Elders. They are the custodians of this party. They would intervene and do what is right. All of us are qualified.
Are you still willing to stand as flag bearer of the party?
At the appropriate time, if we do it right.
People have called on you in the past. You have sat on other shows with me and showed interest.
That's what I'm saying. If we do the right thing, which we are doing, otherwise, what's the point? I'm not here to just.
So it's a yes. You'll go for it. I'll
go for it when the polling stations and electoral areas have the power. I don't want to have the power. I want the power to be with the constituents. I want to make sure that CPP comes to power and be able to address the concerns and the needs of this nation.
Thank you, Nana, for joining the conversation. Ever ferocious when it comes to the discussions. This has been Nana Frimpoma Sapon Kumankuma, chairperson of the CPP. They are embroiled in some issues, but as she is saying, it's cool running and they are going to sort matters out. Coming up next, Agatha Roxon, internship coordinator, joins us together with Dr. Linda Day, Academic Affairs Director. I'm talking about Webster's University. They're up next on the AM show. Do stay.